I wanted to welcome you guys to one of my builds here. Um, this is a Schwinn Meridian trike with the 212 cc Predator engine. I tweaked it a little bit, mounted a speedometer, and I know the lighting's horrible in here. I'm going to make a video when the customer's out riding it around. I have some banana seats. If anybody wants them, they're $60 a piece. Yes, they're vintage stuff. They're real McCoy for like the old Schwinn Stingrays, and I forget what the other bike is that they fit. And I believe there was a Huffy too that made a banana seat bike like this, but I have a back mount here. I actually handcrafted the mounts for the banana seat bikes are here in the front. I moved it here to the back, and it's kind of Stucksky on there. Oh, there it is. And I used some body glue, like they glue quarter panels and stuff on nowadays. I used that body goop. Uh, I don't know how that's going to be, but we're going to do a segment of our criminal justice series here because I see a lot of this 911 stuff surfacing and people are pinging me about it because I'm intrigued by a lot of it. And I just wanted to let people know that we still build bikes here. And I did an integral part here. I don't know what you can see because, like I said, I know the lighting sucks. I shimmed this side up, number one, because the sump for the oil is on this side for the crankshaft. And number two, it helps tighten the chain a little bit. So that should be nice, and hopefully that's a chrome moly chain that I used on there, one of the Sabaki chains, so it won't stretch all that bad. Now, I wanted to get around to this 911 issue. I'm seeing a lot of it. Remember the towers? Remember the Muslims did it? I highly doubt there was one Muslim involved in that Twin Towers incident. Not one. Not when they found thermite and molten metal. The government's full of a lot of smoke and mirrors. Ever since the jobs went away and people had real interests and real panic in their lives from losing their jobs, losing their homes, the mortgage scandals, there's been a bunch of smoke and mirrors the government's created. They create one crisis to solve after another to be your hero when everybody else is failing. Our public school systems are turning into gladiator pits. They've managed this smoke and mirrors to distract you. Gays, lesbians, global warming, transgender. They've come up with one smoke and mirrors after another. Let me tell you something. We were attacked allegedly by people with no country, no allegiances like NATO alliances and other country alliances. Very primitive people. And they're fighting us. And mostly they're fighting us with our own weapons that we're leaving behind. Did people ever stop to think that these things are happening by design? I'm sorry, I'm eating peanuts. Planters peanuts. I couldn't even get a fucking salted peanut over at Walmart. They got one little section for the cans of salted peanuts. They're all bought out, and they got all this, I call it Peter Puffer shit. I don't know what you want to call it, garbage. All the fruity ass brands, the shelves are stocked full. They're over full of it. It's up on the thing. Nobody buys it. The one thing that people do buy is a good salty fucking peanut. Just like our government. They're all full of the bullshit we don't want. They're a bunch of political pimps and a bunch of prostitutes and whores. There's nothing more to say about somebody trying to tell you a bunch of primitive people, culturalists over in the caves of Afghanistan took out the Twin Towers when you saw all that molten metal in the bottom and the thermite actually igniting when it finally got exposed to the air. People got to be a little bit deeper of a thinker to think about what really is going on and why the government is creating a crisis a minute to solve, just like the scam of global warming. Christ, when that space shuttle goes up, or we have a volcanic eruption or a natural methane, it puts more CO2 in the air than mankind ever left on this planet since we've been here. But these motherfuckers, they want to start this agenda and tell us that it's global warming, it's something other than what it is, and I don't get the mechanics other than if you look at how perverted and how bad our legal systems got. People are getting shot in the streets, our children, by cops. They got a badge on their chest and they're too much of a coward to do their job with courtesy and professionalism. They got to be some kind of Wyatt Earp or cowboy, or they have to have an agenda and axe to grind. There's girls, they're being raped in our prisons, they're being beaten, and there's no control over these monkeys because it's another design. People don't realize there's a common place in the middle where most of us can meet. But we have the government that does the extreme agenda to the left, and then we have the government now that does the agenda to the right. Do you understand the difference when they're coming, the right and the left? There's no more commonality left. That's because these agendas, the left and the right, the government makes money. The common area is making money. The big pot, the big deep pot in the middle, where the money keeps going. People go to court for things like domestics, child custody issues, and probably spitting peanuts. It ends up that the judge does exactly the opposite because they know the guy's got money and he's going to fight for his kids and they're going to drain him dry. This political whore perversion, just like we have judges here, one down here on Airport Road and one down the street from me, they're whores. They're nothing more than to make money for the system, and they do the public dirty. Every day of their service, they are not the law enforcement, and it's why law enforcement is not getting received by the people, because we don't trust you anymore. That's why I've got to live with cameras all over here. You see, when people have it on film, it's not a bullshit story. Right here it is. It doesn't matter how it started, it's how it ends. Does it end with courtesy? Does it end with professionalism? And what is the interest that they're serving? A lot of the conflicts are bullshit traffic warrants and dumb stuff. Can be handled different. We don't need this political perversion, and I don't need people telling me that it was a bunch of monkeys over in a fucking cave in Afghanistan that took out the Twin Towers and the World Trade Center. Let me tell you about that other aircraft that you don't hear much about, that was scattered all over about 2.5 miles of a hillside in a state park not far from here. Twin Towers fell with an explosive rate of a free fall. And magically, so did World Trade Center 7, but it wasn't hit by an aircraft. And people were hearing explosions. That aircraft was shot down. That was the only way it would be scattered over 2.5 miles like that in small bits and pieces. And then I have friends that lived out there that actually saw the military aircraft. They saw that the missile was shot from a fairly high altitude, and after the aircraft was shot, the jets dropped down onto a low altitude. And basically what they did was surveyed the wreckage area. I don't know how much bullshit stories people want to believe, but the reality is there was a third building that collapsed without a finger touching it, and allegedly it was just the key to the fire. How does a common building fire get above 2,000 degrees when they were putting the monitoring equipment on those hot spots, and they were reaching anywhere from 1,300 to 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit? That doesn't make sense. That wasn't a common fire. And then the thermite, as they're pulling the molten steel up, the stuff's igniting when it's getting exposed to the air. Facts are facts, people. Okay? There's no building fire that reacts like that weeks and weeks after a fire it's still burning. Most fires burn themselves out. The only reason why that fire was still burning weeks and weeks later is because it had the fuel, the unburnt thermite that was compacted. It was compressed. It was still minutely getting air, and it was simmering, just like a pot. Just like if you cover a pot, a pressure cooker, you can make it explode. Okay? Thermite is a chemical reaction. It's reactive with air, it's reactive with water, and it's also most reactive with ingredients like sulfur and sulfur dioxide. There's other chemicals that you can add to a common thermite to make it have a much more greater punch. That's why they call it nanothermite, because there's a nanograde aluminum and there's a copper sulfate. It's actually a copper, I think it's a copper, and there's some other chemical agent. I'm blanking because I have to go for surgery tomorrow, and I've been meaning to clean up this shop, and every day I get a little bit done, but I never seem to get to the crux of it. I'm almost there. I'm going to vacuum up a little bit more, and I'm going to call it quits for the day. But I had to get on with this, that we're having these government agendas served by these whores in Washington, D.C., and they expect people to believe, engineers, people like me with engineering background, that the Twin Towers just fell over. They just imploded on their ground centers just as they did. But other people that were escaping the disaster were hearing the explosions. This is something for Mr. Trump to get busy with other than the circus and worrying about immigration right now. Sign it off for now and forget about it. Okay? We don't have enough jobs in this country to begin with to support more people that don't have a job, that don't have a job skill, or they want to work for some corporation for some peanuts, and the rest of us taxpayers are going to pay for their free health care. This is shit for the birds, and that's got to stop too. But stop believing in all the smoke and mirrors. Why are you throwing fur at me? Oh, I got to go brush my best buddy here in the other one. I've been promising to. The weather's just been terrible. All it's been doing is raining and raining. But get it out of your heads, people, that it was a bunch of cave dwellers with no country, no alliances, no warships. Somehow came over here and a bunch of rookie pilots commandeered aircraft and flew them into the Twin Towers and the Pentagon. Let me tell you something about that hole in the side of the Pentagon. That was no 767 or 757 or even a fucking 737. But I'll tell you what I did see while I was military and while I was a military contractor. I saw cruise missiles larger than a tractor trailer. I saw cruise missiles larger than 2 tractor trailers. Now, what those missiles are meant to kill, what they're meant to carry, the payloads or whatever, I don't know. But some of them were dressed up like regular aircraft, like Learjet and so forth. What people might have thought they saw there, like I said, it could have been an elaborate ruse. But it was no aircraft that hit that building. And just like the Twin Towers, there were portions of that building that were closed that were hit by that aircraft. Okay? Aircraft parts could have been spewed. They could have been planted. There was plenty of evidence that there was a lot of fingers in that pie that was going on in construction work. Both the buildings, like the Twin Towers and the Pentagon, were hit in areas where they had done recent construction within the last couple of months. That should raise a red flag in anybody's mind right now, what was going on there. Just get it out of your mind. It wasn't a bunch of cave dwellers, a bunch of unskilled people. Osama bin Laden was basically a trained patsy by the CIA. Our CIA and our war machine in Washington, they send a lot of contractors over there, guys like me, to train other guys how to fight. And some of those guys, once they get a piece of that I call it the money cum pie. I hate to refer to it, but that's military slang for these guys are getting paid X amount of dollars to lead expeditionary forces. Not every guy that somebody like me would train speaks English. One of them will, and oftentimes they get greedy. They want more. Nobody's ever going to tell them they might end up a government patsy with their face on a flyer, 911 culprit, and the guy knows nothing about it. It's no wonder these other people are getting violent with us, the people that are getting accused, the races and the masses. I get pissed off too, just like that, I forget who that jerky guy was that was bothering me, that Steve Main or whatever. I showed him right there. You got a set of balls, show up here, we'll square it away right out behind my barn. Not a problem, you know. No police involved, we'll get it straightened out. But a lot of people, when they get persecuted like that for doing something like 911, they often don't get a chance to clear their name. The only thing they try to do is fight back, maybe save their families. There's no warplanes raining bombs down here in the United States. Not saying it couldn't happen, but it's unlikely. And it's unlikely to be attacked like that by a Muslim force or somebody like that. But the only way they have to fight back is these minuscule statements. You don't get to hear them testify in court why they actually did what they did. In the movies, they make it sound like it was Allah. If you want a real clue about 911, before the Twin Towers were even destroyed, there was a movie by Chuck Norris called The President's Men, A Line in the Sand. And the emergency code when the president calls him, it says right on Chuck Norris's phone, code 911. That should be a clue. And also General Clark was talking up that this plan was a long time in the works in Washington, D.C. before it ever became a reality. But it was in the works, and he disclosed that it happened at that time, long before 911, a plan was hatched. Just like plan, I guess it was Project Northwoods. I'm aware there was one or two others. And it was also an Italian plan that carried over with attacks in Greece and actually in France and Greece, I believe, and there were a few in Yemen. The Italians did their own sort of 911 back in the day. Let me tell you something. Why do you think the United States would be leaving those modern war pieces, that advanced war weaponry behind in those deserts over there for those guys to find? Because it keeps the industrial military complex, it keeps the wheels greased. They pick up those weapons, they go fight someone with it because they're goddamn good and angry. And I don't blame the Muslims for being goddamn good and angry. We have a problem with the domestic ones that are being trained in the prison systems here because they're not defending a family or their honor or their homeland. They're just angry black people. They want to belong to something, and everybody else is their oppressor. The government's certainly been an oppressive force in this country. How to get a handle on it when you have a political whore with their hand out. Trump did a lot of good when he stopped the lobbying. He chopped those hands off. Well, let's see how many of them stay out of the cookie jar. Now you're going to see the funds getting funneled some other way. They might make it legal. They might not. I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm hoping it doesn't get made legal. I'm just hoping you people out there realize that 911 was not done by somebody with no country, no Navy, no Army, no advanced weaponry. They just didn't get a bunch of rookies, train them to fly aircraft into our buildings. And they also didn't have nanothermite. Okay? That's the end of my video. But stop feeding in and drinking the goddamn poison Kool-Aid, people. It sounds stupid when there's facts out there and they're taking molten metal right out of the ground up there at 911 where it happened, and they're showing people the photographs. All the police, all the reporters heard all the explosions. They heard the demo charges. What more do people need to get an indictment for George Bush? Go grab him and Cheney by their balls first. Then that other skunk, Bremer, and the other one down there in the Defense Department. Okay? I was no big fan of those boobs to begin with. I knew they were up to something. Believe it or not, like I said, I was a military contractor. I had wind of 911 happening long before it ever happened myself. But you got to see some of the proof, like the movies. Like if you watch that President Line in the Sand with Chuck Norris, and you see the code on his phone is 911. People, it should tell you something. This was in the works a long time before it ever happened, and it was not carried out by a bunch of greasy monkeys living in a cave over in the desert eating with wooden knives and forks. This was done with modern technology, and why else would NORAD have been on holiday doing war games when it actually did happen? Why would George Bush, how many times has George Bush been at schools reading children a book? All except for the day of 911. None of it adds up, none of it makes sense. Okay? And all of his important buddies, like his one cousin and brother, they were nowhere near 911, although they were supposed to be to work in their business establishments up there. People, something is wrong. I smell the rat. Everybody else is smelling the rat. And George Bush and Dick Cheney are still out there walking around like the swinging dicks they are. Somebody needs to go jam those two guys, stick them in Fort Carson or one of the underground prisons, and beat the tar out of them until the truth comes out. That's the only way this nation is going to heal. Okay? When the other Muslim nations see that those two monkeys got blamed as the culprit, and the culpability stops, and the truth comes out, maybe we'll have peace again over in the Middle East. But there's also another ruse with the Iranian pipeline and Qatar and all that going on. And those are not bullshit stories. That stuff is actually happening. You got to watch YouTube, and you got to sort through the. There's some disinformation videos there and UFO shit. Ignore that stuff. Watch stuff like Corbett and Alex Jones and a couple of those guys. Okay, they make some valid points. This was an elaborate scheme, and it wasn't carried out by a bunch of cave dwellers over in Afghanistan. So I wanted to thank you for watching my Harley B video and having a look at my bike. Thank you.